Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For St. Pete's Sake, the only official podcast of the Stonewall Democrats of Pinellas County. This is a podcast where we deep dive into everything political in Pinellas County, Tampa Bay, and beyond. I am Christian Hotchkiss, the president of the Stonewall Democrats, and I am joined, as always, by the backbone of this podcast, Laura Gherkin, my vice president for political action. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Christian. Thank you. You just give me such good compliments every week. It really gives me the vibe and the ups that I need to go into the weekend. So thank you, friend. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. And I got to say, I appreciate you and all the hard work that you do on this podcast, editing the videos and making sure that it gets uploaded in a timely manner. So I got to give you your flowers, and I really do appreciate you. So tonight, we have a very special guest from across the bridge. He is the president of the Hillsborough LGBTQ Caucus. This is Luis Salazar. Hi, Luis.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Great to be with you all tonight.
Hey, Louise.
And
So one of the things I have to start with is that I have to say to all my friends across the bridge, look, we do things across the bridge. It's okay to come to St. Pete. It's
We
okay to
do
go
a
to
lot of
Tampa.
things.
Exactly.
absolutely. Luis, we're going to give you some time to just introduce yourself and kind of give us your backstory. Give us a rundown on what you're doing and how you got here.
So my name is Luis Salazar. I was born in California, and my family moved to Arizona, where I was raised. I lived about 30 minutes from the border in this little town called Sahuarita. Most people don't know how to pronounce it if you saw it, but it's in the middle of nowhere. My nearest neighbor probably is a couple miles from my house. So I grew up very in a rural environment, close to the U.S.-Mexico border. I ended up going to the Navy when I was 18 and spent some time there. Came back, explored the world, and ended up at Northern Arizona University, to where I studied public relations. That's up in the mountains in Arizona. Most people don't know that there are mountains in Arizona, but there are. It's very cold. When I graduated college in December of 2014. I decided to move to Florida, and when I road tripped out here, it was negative 13 degrees in Flagstaff, and I got to Florida and it was 86 degrees. So it was a huge change. I ended up here in 2015 on an internship with the Tampa Bay Rays, and then I stayed on there for a while. I came on also and worked at Outback Steakhouse. I know that's a pretty popular place in
Name
in
an
St.
onion.
Pete. I bartended there for about 10 years. So, and then eventually got my big boy job doing social media management for an insurance company. And now I work for Watermark County News. I do the social media at that organization now. And then in my volunteer time, where we all know each other from, I am the vice president of the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. I am the president of the Hillsborough LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. I am my precinct captain here in Hillsborough. I've also was a DNC delegate to Chicago, where I got to go see Kamala Harris. That was an amazing experience. If you ever get the opportunity to do it, I highly encourage it. For us political nerds, it's like the top of the castle, right? To get to
The
go
Super
there.
Bowl.
Yeah, it's
And the
super great.
DNC looked so much more fun than the RNC. So
Oh, it was a blast. It was a blast. But I've been organizing here in Hillsborough County. I run the caucus, the LGBTQ chapter here, and we run 4 events a month. We've been doing that now for about 3 years. One of those events is our general membership meeting. We also do Gen Z outreach, where we go to a nightclub, an LGBTQ nightclub here in Tampa, Southern Nights, and we talk to young people about petitions, voting, registering to vote by mail. We hand out resources like Narcan, fentanyl strips, Plan B, take-home HIV kits, condoms, lube, access to mental health facilities if they need that, access to suicide prevention numbers, anything to keep them healthy, right? And keep them alive, because that's we need them. We need them to be healthy and alive in order to keep this country going. And we do great outreach there. We get a lot of petition signatures, over 2,000 in the last 2 years that we've gotten from young people in that space, in just that one space. We also do a thing called Equality Social, and that started as an idea because our DEC wasn't that great. And we weren't able to unite people. For those of you who don't know what a DEC is, it's basically the Democratic Party of your county. So I was thinking of a space where we could all come together, but not just the caucuses and clubs, not just the political nerds, like right, like us.
Mhm.
I wanted a space for like nonprofits, churches, anybody in the fight for equality to build those kind of relationships with them, for them to be able to know who we are. And so I created the space, Equality Social. And it's grown. We started with 4 members. We're now to 14. We do in the summertime, we do panels. We just started our first one tonight. It was called How to Defunk the Democratic Party. We were having serious conversations about the direction of this party and how we're going to take it and what's going on and why so many people are registering as MPAs. Why can't we get the trust from the working class and from young people, right? We fight for young issues, yet they won't sign the dotted line for us. So we're talking about that stuff. We're in a funk. There's stuff going on all across the country, right? And then we knock on doors, just the good old door knocker. And we've been doing it for 3 years now. And we really changed up how we do it, right? Because usually you go when you want to vote. Our
Mhm.
questions center around what can we do as the Democratic Party to make your life better? Like, what's one thing that we can do? Is it childcare? Is it, having a grocery store closer to your home? Is it having bus fares be cheaper? What is it? Like, if you had one magical thing that could make your life just so much easier right now, that is plausible, you know what I mean? And pretty much it's anything is, as long as you can do it, what would it be? And I think that's been a big game changer for us, because when we go down the streets, especially our caucus adopted a precinct, the gay board district of our city in Tampa, right? And now when we walk down the street, like, people know us. Like, they say hi to us, they recognize our shirts, they recognize who we are. We get invited to stuff. We know that communication, community communication and building it's serious. Like, it's really happening, and we're light. Oh, see the ghost back there. We're really,
Listen, that was a little crazy.
yeah,
Perfect.
we're eons beyond where people are starting to talk about now that they want to be, right? We've been doing that for 3 years. It's crazy, but that's what I do. I really believe in community. I really believe in collaboration, not just with other Democrats, but with organizations in our community, people that are fighting for especially LGBTQ and marginalized communities. I show up at city council and I talk. I show up at county commission and I talk, especially if it's anything affecting our community. And
Mhm.
I like to teach people how to do that so they can start showing up too.
I love
Absolutely.
I love all of that. Like, I don't even know where to start, but I do a little bit. So
I
like,
do.
okay, you go first, Christian, then. You go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, first of all, I really appreciate you being here. Again, I gotta say that. I've taken a lot of hints from you, and you've given me a lot of feedback on how to be an effective president, and I really do appreciate it. So, like I said, I'm taking a lot of your cues and a lot of the things that you're
Take
doing,
them,
we are starting
take them.
to implement. So,
That's
we're
great.
hoping to get up to your guys' level. Um, but so we are leaders in the Democratic Party. I was formerly the vice chair of the Pinellas Democratic Party, also the credentials chair and the issues chair. I am the current president, of course. I'm still a member of the Democratic Party as a PCP. And we have to look introspectively. We have to look at ourselves and see what we're doing, and what we're not doing right, what we are. So I kind of want to go to the equality social that you had tonight and give us a rundown on what was talked about and how people were feeling, as far as what they wanted to see.
Definitely a lot of youth issues, right? A lot of environmental issues, disability, a lot of us centering back to what it is we need to survive. We need food in our stomach, a roof over our head, and we need a job to work at, right? Those very basic needs. And I feel that, like, we like to, when we fight for LGBTQ causes, right?
Mhm.
But aren't those LGBTQ plus causes? Like, aren't don't you as an LGBTQ plus person want a safe neighborhood to live in? Don't you
Mhm.
want to put gas in your car? Don't you want to have food to eat? Don't you want to have a good paying job? Right? Those are our issues. And I think there's a getting back to basics that was discussed tonight, getting back to those core issues that, yes, we do want equality for all. We do want women to have rights and rights to healthcare. Like, of course we want that, but we need to get back to messaging to people the needs that are important right now, right? It's important about messaging that we are for all of the things that you want to survive, because we can't have women's health care and we can't have equality if we're not working, if we're all hungry, and everybody's just beaten down, right? And I'm going to be unpopular when I say this, because I know a lot, we're being told by the party that everything's okay. Everything's fine, everything's okay. The Rome is not burning behind us, right? Like, so, but it is. There is a
Right.
massive fire,
It's that
an
it's fine meme.
inferno blazing behind us. And I feel that, and not to throw leadership under the bus, but I feel like they're putting their head in the sand and trying to convince us that it's okay. You as a citizen, you as a leader in your community, when I speak to people, when I go knock on doors to people, they're not okay. They're scared for their Medicare. They're scared that men, like literally cowards in hoods that work for the federal government, are going around and snatching up people off the street. That is what
Legal citizens.
And citizens. When did it get to this? When did we get to this point where we stop caring about our neighbor like that, right? That was, I know, as a kid, I grew up in the 80s, early 90s. That was always the biggest thing I learned as a child, is like, take care of your neighbor. Make sure your neighbor's okay. The little old lady, go mow her lawn. Go make sure she has dinner. Go make sure that, they're not alone, right? And maybe it's because I grew up in a rural community, but that's what I felt community was. And that's what I feel when I go into spaces that we need to get to and treat each other like. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, and sometimes we have huge disagreements. But there is an ultimate goal here that's bigger than us, right? And that's the American people. That is people that have less than us, that are not as fortunate enough to have a meal every night or put gas in their car. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I know what it's like to roll up quarters and go to the gas station and say to the guy, I need $10. I need $10 gas. Like, I know that. I've lived that life. And that was another big thing we talked about: authenticity of candidates. It is a feeling of the people there tonight that were there talking, that the party tells them and trains candidates. They train candidates, right? They train them what to say, what to do, how to act. If you go here, act like this. If you go there, act like that. If you go to a gala, don't leave a little bit of food on your plate. You don't want them to think you're poor. Like stupid stuff like that, right? That's a thing. It's a thing. I'm telling you, consultants use that as a thing. Don't leave a little bit of food on your plate. You don't want to seem desperate.
I mean,
right?
at that galas, we're probably leaving food on the plate because it's
that
not
rubber
very
chicken
yummy.
can go to hell.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But we're missing the authenticity, right?
Yeah.
That's the big part.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have to work on our messaging and being authentic, like you said. And you made a good point in asking how we got here and how it got this bad. And if we want to have an honest conversation about that, the pendulum swung so far to the right because we had Barack Obama. And because he was a black man in a position, in the position of power, our country, the racist country that it is, and let's be honest, our country is very racist, swung too far to the right, and that's how we got Donald Trump. So we have to be able to call that out and recognize that as a political party, so that way we can start messaging to people to get them to join us. The NPAs that are out there, we want them to come to our party and help us out.
And absolutely we do. Yes, we do. And we also, it's like going to therapy. I've told people this before. It's like going to therapy. You have to realize that sometimes you are the problem or part of the problem, right? We also need to learn how to talk to those racists and bigots. I know that's not popular either, but we need to learn how to have a conversation with them, because I bet you, as human beings, we could find something in common with them, so we don't look like the big scary monster anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's important for us to to be relatable to people. It's important. I grew up in a small town with a lot of racists and a lot of bigoted people. I was called every name in the book. Like,
Same.
but I can go home and talk to those people, and they see me on the street and they say hello to me. And it's conversations that you're right. We have to have them. They're uncomfortable. We don't want to, but you have to realize there's a problem, and you have to. The only way to get through that problem is to put it all out. Put
Right,
them all,
is
put
to
all your
address
cards on
it
the table.
head on. And I do agree that part of that, a part of the backlash that I mean, obviously that we see in what we're dealing with now is because of Barack Obama and he made fun of Trump at his whatever the stupid press corps awards dinner and then that
Hmm.
personally offended him and that's why we're here now, like whatever. But it also I think is just because and I do intellectually and love Barack Obama and I love listening to him talk and it's soothing to me, but we do also have to admit that there's an over intellectualization of the
Oh,
party that
absolutely.
happened, and a lot of people felt left behind by that, and they felt like, well, okay, well, this Harvard law professor and his hottie Yale wife are not they're so much smarter than me. They can't relate to me. And somehow we lost that that story that brought, that pull you up by yourself up by your bootstraps story that they love, which Michelle and Barack both had. But we've skipped over that and it's just all of a sudden we're now these overly educated
We're
elite.
yuppies. We're yuppies.
Exactly, we're the
Yeah.
yuppies, and there's a part of it that are, you know what I mean. That's another thing that needs to with especially in your larger city parties of NIMBYism that needs to be talked about. It's like we're going to talk about housing inequality and how that's obviously here in St. Pete and Tampa is a huge thing, but it's also there's so many people that are like, yes, affordable housing. Oh, not there though. It's too close
Not
to
them.
my
Yeah.
house. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like there's just so much. There's so much, and I that's what I do love. We have a big tent, but it's also harder to
Yeah.
whip it into shape sometimes.
No, absolutely. There was actually someone who brought this up tonight. You're hitting all of the pointers that we went over tonight. There was a comment that was made, uh, the right wing talks like at a fifth grade level, and Donald Trump talks at a fourth grade level. And Sabrina Boosbar, who was there today, one of the speakers, she's like, I want to take that analogy. Yeah, you might think they speak at a fifth grade level, and he speaks at a fourth grade level, but and not to give him his props, but he learned how to communicate with those people, and he learned how to connect with those people, and he communicated with them his message, right?
Mhm.
And that's what we need to do, and that's because we think we are the Harvard experts, right? We all went to college and we're so smart, we know everything. I walk into rooms with people that know everything, right, every
Definitely.
single day. And I'm going to be honest with you, I am tired of voting for women in polyester dresses and pearl necklaces, and like men in and suits and slick back hair. I want to see real people. I want to see
Yeah.
union workers. I want to see the electrician. I want to see people that know what it's like to have to make the choice between paying the electric bill or getting groceries that month, right? That's who I want to see
100%.
leading our country, because a lot of these politicians get in there. And there's like, not to throw these guys under the bus because they are good politicians. Get like your AOC, your Maxwell Frost. They're great people. Great people. I've met them, I've hung out with them and stuff. But after a few years, they learn the system
Hmm.
and they become part of the system. And then they're there for 80 years. We have a 92-year-old senator in Congress.
No,
What business does he have being there? Like,
done.
thank you so much for everything you've done. I really appreciate it. But step aside. It's time.
100.
Mhm.
Like, you can barely make it to your meetings. Like, come on, man.
Mhm.
It's seriously a time for people, especially young people, to take the reins of what's going on. The problem that a lot of these elected officials did is they got out into the system and they started making money. And when I say money, they make millions, right? And
Hmm.
they didn't want to let it go because power is a hard thing to let go of.
Exactly.
Instead of training a mentor, a mentee to take over their spot or someone to come in behind them, they didn't. So now they're 80, 90 up there, right? And they don't have anybody to replace them. And it's their own fault
Mhm.
because they were so greedy throughout the process, you know?
Well, and I saw V from Under the Desk News. I saw on TikTok and Instagram, and I trust her. She's a journalist, just happens to be in new media, but she posted something early this morning when they were doing the House vote that if those three Democratic House members that we have had die in office since November were actually replaced by people who were there, that bill, the budget would have been shut down. We would have
Yeah.
been in the majority because of the people from the House that Trump has put blah 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 whatever. It's a lot of numbers game, but the point is we were 214. We could have been 216. We could have been 216 and stopped that bill. So now we have to depend on the Senate, which like I don't depend. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all crazy making because like if I, I just, I'm sorry. I don't want to speak ill about like people who have passed and are sick. And, like I appreciate Joe Biden, what he has done for this country in the years of service that he gave. And like, losing his family, most of it in the public eye, like that is all very commendable. He is a public servant at heart. I get it.
Hmm.
But he also was way too obsessed with that title of president and obtaining it. And once he got it, didn't want to let it go. And that's also why we're here.
It is.
Um,
And not to sound ageist, because people are going to call me that, right? But it's not. It's just we need to think of something more than ourselves, right? And it's
100%.
important that even me, that I'm leading the caucus, like I'm thinking, who can I train to continue this train going, right? Who can I
Exactly.
bring up behind me? How can I help young people go to conferences or to go to things that they need to go to in order to train them to learn what I've learned, right? To learn what I'm doing, and that's where we have to step it up. We have to step up. Here at the LGBTQ plus caucus in Hillsborough, we have a thing called the Rex Fund, where we send candidates or people that want to work on campaigns or anyone that wants to learn about working in the political world to the Victory Fund, the LGBTQ plus Victory Fund training, and we'll give them $1,000 scholarship to go,
That's
and
amazing.
and it helps train the next generation, which is what we should be doing because we're now at a point where they should be taking the reins, and where are like we can't let it go to give it to them because the people in
Right.
charge don't want to. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I
Like,
mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's
because
still a place for those people. Like the
yeah,
older people that are in office right now, there's still a place for them. We still value their input and what they've done over the years. We still want them here, but it is time for the next generation to step up, for them to step aside and the next generation to step up because we're the ones who are going to be affected by every single policy that's made right now.
you're
We
gonna
are the
you're
ones, as a millennial and Gen Z, we're the ones that are going to have to deal with it, not the
yeah,
boomers, not the Gen X. We are.
we're gonna have to deal with the firestorm of
mhm,
the environment,
literal,
of the economy, of not
literal.
being able to find jobs that are good, that pay well,
Mhm.
immigration. Donald Trump just stopped Harvard from accepting international
I
students.
know I saw that today
What
too.
a joke! That's what we're focusing on. Literally, people can't eat. Kids
Right.
are going to bed hungry, and that's what
100%.
you
It's
want to
all a
fight about.
distraction game.
Yeah,
It's all a distraction game. Look over here so you don't see what I'm doing over here. I'm not actually going to fix the world's problems. I'm not actually going to end hunger or end child poverty, but I am going to say that immigrants can't go to Yale. I am going to say that this judge has to be arrested for not agreeing with me or whatever. It's
Yeah.
all a look over here, don't look over here game.
yeah, it is, and it's unfortunate because people are suffering because of that. And
Yeah,
I
It's
and
think
that's where our
that's
messaging.
that's exactly where our messaging should be. We are
Mhm.
the people that are trying to bring you hope or bring you food, right? Bring back SNAP, bring back childcare, Head Start, right? Make
Mhm.
sure kids get a free lunch, right?
Absolutely.
And
Like,
that's like we had in the Pandemic Act, I think it was the IRA, the financial stimulus where we had the child tax care credit or the expanded child tax credit. The fact that we couldn't message that, and that was expired, and people, that working class people, that regular people aren't freaking out about the fact that they were getting, like, that was money in people, that was money in parents' pockets. Like, and I know it was during the pandemic, so it was a really like confusing time for people because like unemployment was really high and blah 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 whatever, but like that gave like that increased the amount of money that you could get paid as a parent as for
Yeah.
having dependents, and it paid it out to you over the year. It didn't make you wait for the your tax refund at the end of the year. The fact that
Mhm.
we couldn't get it together and let people know how important that was, and that it expired and we're never going to get it back now. Like,
No.
that just like that alone was like I think I knew we were sunk then. And like, and this is the thing, I'm very much like, you know, my in all, in all transparency, my dad is an elected official in Ohio, and has been since, oh my God, so a long time in various levels of government. But, I'm, apple tree rabble rouser. I come by it honestly. So, I like to think like he's one of the good boomers, but he does do a good job of training people.
You
But
have
it's
to.
just like, you have to, because it's like, I just can't, I don't know, like, and I think the thing, and this just comes back, and it's been probably a couple weeks since we've said Citizens United needs to be repealed, but like that's a huge part of our
Huge,
problem
huge
is
cap. We need to cap elections and give them budgets, right? We need to put term limits. We need to make sure that, the people that are being elected can afford to run, right?
100.
Like to run. Like, how is a
Mhm.
school teacher going to run for school board when it costs you 250,000 to $500,000 in order to get elected?
No.
Wait,
Yep.
and you have the lowest paying job in America. You know what I mean? Like, how is that possible?
Oh yeah.
People are being left behind. And one of the places I actually see people being left behind the most, and the reason I probably have an insight in this is my dad, he was an electrician. And not an electrician like that goes into your house and like fixes like your housing electrician. He used to fix wheelchairs, like electric wheelchairs,
Oh.
like people that were disabled and stuff. So I got an insight into that world from a very young age. That to me it was very like it wasn't weird. It was just they used a wheelchair, right? So I got to go to like Jerry's kids camps, like and stuff up in Arizona. Yeah, and I got to like my dad was like, I had this thing when I was a kid that I was gonna learn sign language. Like that was my thing, right? So he used to take me and like put me in a room with a bunch of people that were disabled from hearing, and we'd sign, right? I never got good at it, but like I saw another world, and people with disabilities are being hurt right now in the education system, right? So
Mhm.
like having access to teachers, to people that can help them be productive, help them to move around, to learn like any other kid, to help them be equal, right? They're being left behind. People with DEI is hurting women and people with disabilities the most. That being pulled back is a big bad thing for people with disabilities and people and for women that made strives, right? And we're leaving people behind. Um, we have for some reason forgot, and I talk to my Italian friends about this all the time. Like we have forgotten that one generation ago, you were parents or grandparents were on a boat coming over here, and they hated them the same way you're hating the people that are here now.
They're not.
They were not liked. Your nona, they didn't like her. Okay, they were mean to her. They threw rocks at her. They spat on her when she walked down
They
the
didn't
street.
consider her white.
She was not white. Italian folks, Irish,
Irish,
like
yeah.
all these people went through these horrible things like not that long ago. The 50s and 60s were not that long ago. African American and black people, they went through it too. You know what I mean? Like we
Mhm.
all like have to realize that we are not separated from that, but it made us who we are. And stop leaving people behind. You don't shut the door behind you, you open it, right? You bring somebody else
Mhm.
in. And it's sad to see. It's sad. I'm saddened to see that we have become accustomed to seeing men in mass that work for the government take people away. Like that is
Yeah.
some
And
1939 Germany stuff, like
yeah,
craziness.
yeah, this is so far beyond anything that I would have ever imagined. The fact that we're going this way, and this is literally Hitler's playbook. What's happening right now? Because if you look back on it, they went after trans folk first, and then they shut down the first ever gender affirming care center back when Hitler started in Germany. Um, that's exactly what they've done this round. They started with trans people. They started with LGBTQ folks, and now they're going after undocumented immigrants. Then who's next? Women. It's going to affect us all. And here's the thing that I always say is our policies, what we believe in as the Democratic Party, is generally widely accepted and approved of.
Broadly
Like
popular.
broadly popular. When we say that we want women to have the freedom to choose bodily autonomy, that's widely popular.
80%.
When we say we want free school lunches, that's widely popular. When we say we want campaign finance reform, that's widely popular. Same thing with justice reform. Same thing with all of our core policies and core beliefs are widely popular. We just have to get better at the messaging, and we have to talk to people on a level that they understand.
100%. It's the messaging. It's the messaging. It is definitely how we see other people, right?
Mhm.
When I talk to young people at the nightclubs, it's
Mhm.
different than when I go talk to people at the doors. But my message is the same. Like, what can we do to make your life better? I'm serious. Tell
Right.
me, I'm not gonna get mad at you. Tell me all the horrible things that I'm doing wrong. I want to know. I want to know why you're so mad, why you won't go vote, why you won't register to vote, why you hate the Democratic Party. What have we done? Because it's all stuff that's pretty much true, right? And we need
Yeah.
to hear it. We need to hear it. We need to hear it because we're being told that everything's okay. We're being told that this is just a transitional period. And right now, it's not, right? We feel, I don't know about how you are in St. Pete, but when I go talk to people, everybody's they're on alert, they're
Mhm.
uneasy, anxious, all those words that are not good. I don't feel like I have job security, to be honest with you. I don't feel like I have food security. When I go to the store, there's always something missing, right? This week there's no celery, or this week there's no carrots, or this week there's no. So I mean, I grew up in the US that had everything. When I went to the store, it was just like piles of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And ever since COVID and ever since the last few years, there's shortages. People are getting sicker. There's water droughts, right? There's fires. There's all this stuff going on around us and all this noise. I like to tell people that it starts where you're at, right? So if you have a precinct or your street corner, I like to think of us as, and it's probably not popular, but little gangs, right? We're little gangs in our neighborhoods and we're
Yeah.
protecting our corner, right? You got to protect your corner and you got to make sure you go out there and make sure nobody messes with your corner, right? So that's what I
Mhm.
feel like when I go out there. I got to go talk to my neighbors. My neighbors in my neighborhood, I live in a predominantly Black neighborhood. I know every single one of them.
Mhm.
When I get a Amazon package, I get a text message from one of them being like, "Hey, there's someone weird at your door." I like if I go on vacation, they watch my house. If they go on vacation, I watch the house. I get their mail. We're all are aware of it. If we have parties where they're all invited, that like what happened to that America, right? What happened to the America where we cared about each other, and we became. I believe we've become very selfish as Americans. We forget about
Mhm.
people sometimes. Where the instant gratification is just it feels good, right? Power feels good. It feels good to be number one on Instagram. It feels good to get 150 likes. If you're like, yes. But we need to sometimes take a step back and realize that we need to do more for other people. because
We got to
it's
get back to the basics.
yeah, it really is. And that's I mean, that's what we talked about tonight, right? Get back to talking to people about what's going on in your life and what's going on in their life. And like seriously, like talking about like, well, the babysitter didn't show up today. That's huge. That's huge for someone that has to go to work for $17 an hour
And
overnight
can't afford
and
childcare.
can't afford childcare.
Exactly.
It's huge.
Or like they have a second shift or a third shift job and that childcare doesn't exist at that
It
time.
doesn't.
So,
And it's not going to exist right now because all these programs are getting pulled back because of the current administration.
Yeah.
It's we have to now find solutions, right? Because we like to complain a lot. We like to say that's so horrible and our leaders don't know what they're doing and everybody's wrong, right? But like, what is your solution? What is
Right.
who's what do you want? Well, okay, you don't like what they're doing. What are we gonna do about it? Let's talk about it. And the reason we actually had this night tonight, defunct Democratic Party, is because we were sitting around at the bar. Actually, where all wonderful political conversations got a start,
Exactly.
and everybody was just complaining like the list leaders this, that leaders that, the FDP does this, the DNC does that. They're all horrible, 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 horrible. They don't know what they're doing, ineffective. Okay, so let's have a panel and talk about how we can fix that,
Mm.
right? If you're unhappy with the way things are, give me some solutions to how we can make it better. And it was good. It was a good night. And we're going to do more of them.
Absolutely.
We're going to do it one every month for the rest of the summer on different topics. So we're here for you.
I
That's
love that.
awesome. And I really do love that idea. So I might steal that one too.
Steal it. Steal it.
Um,
I tell everybody imitation is the best flattery. I want
Yeah.
what I'm doing to happen in every county and every city. I
and
want three or four of them to happen everywhere, right?
it's important work that you're doing because, like you said, it's important that we go out and meet people where they are and just talk to them on the very basic level. Find out what they're insecure about: job insecurity, food insecurity, housing insecurity, whatever it is. Find out what they're facing and then talk to them about it and come up with solutions that actually work for the people. That's what we need to do. That's what we need our leadership to do as well, which right now they're completely failing on. So
Sad.
that's a very important conversation to have, and I don't want to shortchange it, but I do want to pivot a little bit
Okay.
because you ran as a DNC delegate, or you were elected a DNC delegate last year for Kamala Harris. I wanted to know what that process was like, realistically, what happened, and how the experience was, in case any of our listeners want to do that in the future.
So I ran as a DNC delegate on a slate in my congressional district, Congressional District 14. I actually lost. I came in fourth place, and they were taking only the top three.
Okay.
That experience was like running a very super fast candidate election. Like if you're running for office, run for a DNC delegate, and you'll get a very, very good wake up call to what a campaign looks like, right? Especially if you're serious about it, because you got to make phone calls, you got to post every day on social media about it, you got to get people to vote for you, you got to go out there and talk to your elected officials and try to get them on your side as well. You really have to campaign for yourself and the people on your slate if you're running on a slate. Now, I came in fourth place. I didn't get elected, but because I am president of the Hillsborough chapter and also at the state level involved, I ran for PLEO delegate, so party leader elected official, and I actually got nominated and accepted as that to get to go to the DNC. That's how I got to go. So I went as a party leader elected official, which is pretty cool too, right? Because I'm on the list with like senators, representatives, local city council members, all these important people. And like, it's cool to know that you're recognized as that, right? Like as being a leader in your community, and you're there because you've been doing the work, right? I did the work. You have to run for DNC member, you have to do the work. You have to do what I'm telling you. You have to go volunteer. You have to run volunteer events. You have to run events. You have to get involved in leadership. It's not for the faint of heart. It's rough. I know people on my slate that were just really disappointed because they didn't get to go or weren't elected. And I like to think that, don't let that get you down, because you did something that people were too scared to do, right? And that's for every person that runs for office or for a position. Doesn't matter if it's at the caucus, at school, wherever. If you did something that I'm going to say 90% of the people in your school wouldn't even dare to do, right? So that takes courage. That's a lot of courage to do. That experience was really eye-opening to me too, of being a DNC delegate. It's a huge popularity contest. It is huge, huge popularity contest. Biggest thing I could give you is get somebody that's really popular, or past elected official to run on your slate, and it'll increase your chances. Um, if you can get someone that works with the mayor's office or someone that is close to them to run on your slate, that helps you too. We ran, and even though we ran and we didn't have all those things on my slate, I still came in fourth. I mean, that's pretty good. I'm proud of that. I came above a lot of people that were running, and that's because people knew me, and they respected me, and they respected the work I do in my community. And you get to see that too, right? Because you have people come up to you that are elected officials. Luis Vieira was one of them. He's like, "I'm so proud of you, man. Like, this is the greatest thing you could do, and you deserve this."
I love that.
Lynn Hertak, who's another council member, came up to me and told me the same thing. Bill Carlson was another guy that, spoke up and told me about stuff, because they've seen me out there. They've seen me at city council, not always on their side, but they've seen me there, like
Right.
speaking
Being
up,
passionate.
Yeah. Like this, we're holding you accountable, and being there, like running for that race, waiting for the results is just like, oh, it's nerve wracking, right? It's nerve wracking to see. And when you don't get it, it's disappointing, but I'll say that again, you did something no one else has done or could do, and you have recognition. I think it's a good. I think that if you ever want to run for office, it's a good way for you to kind of gauge what kind of support you're going to get as well. You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
you're gonna. So if you ever contemplating running for office, it's a good way to see who does notice who I am in my community, right? What elected officials, what clubs, caucuses, what people are out there. If I ran, would I get some support from, right? And then going to Chicago, and I had a crazy one because I was originally a Biden delegate.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow.
I was
Awkward.
originally, yeah, I was originally a Biden delegate. And then everything happened. Biden dropped out. Harris got in. I had such hope. So much hope. It was just so energizing being there. She's a great person. She checks every box of things that we want in a leader. And she gave great speeches. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I'm proud that I was able to be a Harris delegate as well, because she is a person that I feel deserves that spot. Originally, the first presidential real race I got involved in and volunteered in was Elizabeth Warren. Oh, I love that woman. If I've met her once briefly, but if I could sit down and talk to her for like 10, 15 minutes,
Oh
my
my.
dreams would be fulfilled. She's so
This is a Stan
uh
Elizabeth Warren. We stan her on this podcast.
I
So
love
trust me.
she says things that are true, especially about student loans,
Yeah.
finance. I am $70,000 in debt on student loans, and I graduated with $50,000 in 2014, which means that it's increased by $20,000 in that time. I'm on an
In
income-driven
9 years.
repayment plan. I've told him, I'm like, I'm being honest with you, I'm never gonna pay this back. Like, I would be 85 by the time I paid it back, and especially
It goes
earning
away when you die.
yeah, 18 to 20,000, 18 to $18 an hour, or whatever people earn, the normal wage.
Yeah.
But she spoke truth about that, and I really like those candidates that can that's connecting with what people worry about, the economy of their life, right? She's great at that. I think that even Kamala Harris had something that had a lot of
The
plans too for the
housing.
economy, housing, all that stuff.
Mhm.
My favorite, I still use it a lot, is Elizabeth Warren's catchphrase, "I got a plan for that."
I know. Oh
Got a
my
plan
gosh.
for that.
Literally.
Mhm.
I started off in, well, I've been very involved in party politics for like a really long time, but like, in the relevant 10 years that we're talking about, I started off as a Bernie stan and
There you
voted
go.
for Bernie in 2015 in the primary. And then by the time the 2020 or 2019 primaries came around, I was full Elizabeth Warren. Like I still have a Warren for President hoodie that I wear. Like I just the Bernie to Elizabeth Warren pipeline is real, and it's like it's based on pragmatism. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like Bernie's got all the ideas and we love them, but like when you ask him how is he going to get done, he's like, but you
Yeah,
ask
and
Elizabeth Warren and she's like, well,
I got a
pulls
plan for it.
pulls out her Leslie note binder, like,
No, and not. I mean, I think that Bernie's a great guy too.
oh,
Bernie,
obviously.
and that just also goes to show you that progressives come in different colors and different shapes and sizes, right? Because I think Elizabeth Warren is a major progressive. The
Oh,
things
she
she talks
absolutely.
about are progressive
Mhm.
issues, right? They're super progressive issues. Bernie Sanders also super progressive.
Mhm.
But it's not one cookie cutter person, right? We come in different ideas. A lot of us want things that are tangible, right? Like how can we reduce student loans? How can we get people to be able to have affordable housing, reduce debt, right? Like we all have it. Let's not lie about it. 90% of us
Yeah.
have it. We have student loans, we have credit cards, we have that car loan, like all this stuff, right? That's just so daunting. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, what am I not paying this month so I can pay this? Right?
Literally.
Absolutely.
Every freaking day. Finding a job is just like the other thing that was I was out of work a few like it's been about a year and a half now, and finding a job is so hard. It's competitive, which is good,
I've been
right?
on I've been unemployed for 6 months now, unfortunately, and it is a very tough. It's a full-time job looking for a
It
job.
It
is.
So
is, yeah. Your
And everyone's
resume
like,
has to be
not
oh, you
perfect.
can go get a like
Work,
retail, get a fast food. It's like, no, bro, like even first of all, even finding one of those is hard. Like
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
in like finding one that pays like a wage that
A
can make
livable
you
wage is what it's called.
exactly is even harder.
I don't know how people
Absolutely.
do it. I don't know how my mother did it, to be honest with you, and my mom and dad. I don't know how they did it because they weren't college educated. My mom and dad didn't get much. They probably went to middle school at the most. You know what I mean? And they were able to survive and have three kids and have a home and buy some land out in Arizona and really like make sure we had Christmas, make sure we had summer vacations. I don't know how they did it, and I really don't know how parents are doing it now because it's hard. I mean, I'm single, I don't have kids, I have just me and my fiance, and sometimes it's like, am I really paying $8 for a dozen eggs? Like
Oh my
it's
gosh. Right.
what are you
Yeah.
doing?
No, it's
Like,
absolutely crazy. And one thing that I want to make a couple of points here, but one thing that we have to recognize is that people all across the board are suffering. My
Hmm.
mom is a registered nurse. She works at a hospital. She's been a registered nurse for the better part of 20 years. And you would think that she's able to make a decent wage that to care for her family. Well, she's not because the cost of living has gone up so much that, yeah, she does make a decent wage when you really look at it on paper. But
It's eaten
compared
up
to
by
what she's
housing
paying out,
costs and yeah.
the cost of living is
right?
so extreme and so high that even a nurse working 40, 80 hours a week um, is still struggling,
Yeah.
is still struggling. So it's important that we point that out.
Yeah.
I want to make another point in the sense that when we're talking about progressive policies, it's really interesting to hear what people consider progressive policies in
Right.
America because those policies are widely
Like
implemented across the world.
Yeah.
Like every
healthcare.
major
Literally the
country,
standard.
it's the
Healthcare is
standard.
number one. Yeah, like how can you
Parental
not?
leave.
Yeah, like how would you why would you not want your population to have basic health care, to be able to
Hmm.
go to the doctor if they have a cold?
Hmm.
If they, if you break a leg, not go in debt for it. Like
And not making teeth extra. Like
oh,
your dental
it's
hygiene is
crazy.
literally the key to the rest of your body. But nope, teeth are extra
Mhm.
here. So even yeah, I could go on forever.
And this is where regulation comes to play, right? Regulation, they need to be regulated. I worked for an insurance company for about 5 years. I was their social media guy. It was called BMT. I used to love working there. We had a lot of fun. We did this show on YouTube called Lion Ass Agents. And so we would do we would do is we'd pretend to be customers and call agents, insurance agents, and then like ask them questions like we were customers, and then go back through it and say, okay, this is where they lied. This is where you need to look out for. That's not true. Like, and just kind of analyze it. And I learned being there that like healthcare, the insurance companies don't want to pay. They
Nope.
don't. They don't. They're gonna fight you tooth and nail. We had a product called MetaShield, where what we would do is if you had a problem or a claim that couldn't get paid, we would take a hold of it and then fight it for you, right? And make sure that we get paid or get a settlement or something like that. And insurance is a money business, right? That's why they left Florida when it comes to property insurance, because they don't want to, they know the hurricanes are coming and it's only going to get worse. Healthcare,
Actuarially, yeah. It's like it
yeah.
doesn't balance out.
America is being fed processed food and just all this horrible stuff. And then because it's cheap and because that's all we can afford, right?
Hmm.
When your
Yep.
kid's hungry and you got macaroni and cheese, you're not going
Right.
to ask questions. Your
Or
kid's hungry.
ramen or yeah.
Ramen. You're not going to ask
Yeah,
questions. You're going to say he's hungry and
absolutely.
I need to feed him something. I don't, I, well, this is what I can afford. So like I
Absolutely.
don't understand why we don't see healthcare or we don't see people's well-being as the number one priority.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
it's really it's wild to say. And Laura, I'm gonna let you talk for a minute
go
because
ahead.
I there is one other point that I want to make, but I want you to get your input on this.
Well, and just like the food thing and just I mean, it's so funny because like my brother lives in Spain and so I got to go visit him last year and when he first moved and the thing that blew me away the most I think was the food, like so fresh, so delicious, so much cheaper. And like I know, like I get it. I know Spain is a smaller like country than the US. It's smaller than most of our states, and like the UK or like Europe itself is like just small. And so like there's less, there's less like hard to like trade and whatever, move stuff around. But like, as much as we think like we have stuff regulated here and like the Maha and the RFK of it all is like blah blah blah, we need less like I don't know, they want less regulation, but then anything that they want to implement is going to require more education and all or regulation. And also just the Maha movement in general. Michelle Obama has entered the chat and said, "Excuse me, y'all have demonized me for 8 years for this exact conversation, and now anyway." But yeah, like the food thing, I feel like it would be there's easy ways to fix it if we, but there's again like too much private control in the
Yeah,
situation because they actually control the like I'm pretty sure it's the same way like because I know it's just the way in aviation is like the people that are doing safety inspections are actually like employed by Boeing, not the government. So it's the same way with the food. Like the people who are doing the safety inspections are employed by Dole Foods, not so
absolutely.
yeah.
And here's a crazy idea. What if in our public schools we source locally, right? What if we got fruits and vegetables locally? What if we got milk and eggs locally, helped local farmers, helped the local economy, made sure it was fresh, made sure it was healthy, not processed? Like that's like, is that such a wild idea?
Calm
Like,
down,
is
Luis.
like I don't, buy from the local farmer, get that local milk, get those local eggs, get the meat locally, right? It's cheaper. Transportation's cheaper. Getting it to the kids is cheaper. It's healthier for them. It's not. stuff with preservatives and all these horrible things.
Mhm.
When you go to places like Spain and you go to places like Japan or you go to places like in Europe, that's what they do. They
Mhm.
really are very serious about this nutrition thing. And you notice that there's not very, I mean, I'm gonna say no overweight people there, right? Like not very many. Like
Yeah, it's not an epidemic like it is over
it's
here.
not an epidemic like it is here. And that is, it has to do with what we ingest, and we're ingesting poison right now. That's just so we know. I do it every day and I know I'm doing it and I don't care. That's where I'm trained at. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
trained there. But yeah, we need to really start asking these questions, especially of our local government, right? Why are we not doing that? Like,
Mm.
why are we spending so
Mhm.
much money on shipping to Disco or whatever the hell that company's called to get us their food, right? Like, why are
Mhm.
we not helping the guy that's literally schools with farms next to them?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
why is that happening?
It's
100%.
basic policies, and as I said, they're widely accepted. One thing that we need is, and this is a hill I will die on for every day of my life. We need average, everyday Americans in public office. And here's the
100.
point that I want to make. It is extremely difficult to run for office, but it is possible.
Yeah,
It is possible. You do
It
not
is.
have to have a degree on a piece of paper to run for office. You do not have to be, uh, there's no requirements other than being a citizen and the specific age requirements depending on what office you're running for.
And
But
qualifying.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
everything
qualifying.
else.
Then that's it. And then from there, it's a lot of work, yes, but it is possible. And we need average Americans stepping up into these positions. We need average Americans on school boards, city councils, county commissions, in the state houses, in the state senates, all of that. Every level of government, local, state, or national, is important. And so we need, like I said, just the average Americans to run for office. So please, if you're considering it, run for office.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree with that. I think we need, like I said earlier, we need electricians, we need union members to run for office. Please run for office. I think one of the biggest barriers and one of the things that, and yeah, I'm not going to be popular for saying this either, but consultants are the biggest roadblock for people running for
mm-hmm.
office. Because
100%.
consultants, not all of them, but a majority of them, okay? Like I like to call them the vampires that are sucking the blood out of the Democratic Party. But
Yeah,
they love to run people not because they're great candidates, but because they're good fundraisers and they can get a paycheck out of it,
yep.
right?
Mhm,
They'll run people they know are not going to win. I've seen
mhm.
candidates here in Hillsborough County that like these consultants run, and like the candidates like, I'm going to do so great, I'm going to win, it's going to be fantastic, and behind closed doors those consultants of those candidates are laughing at them,
Yeah.
knowing they don't have a shot, but they know they can pull a paycheck out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And here in
Mhm.
Florida especially, we're paying the same consultants to get the same results. The FDP is paying the same consultants it had when Manny Diaz was there. It's paying the same consultants to get the same results. It's madness. Why are we doing that? Especially when we have limited resources that they like to talk about.
Exactly.
They raised
Exactly.
Exactly.
$300,000 the last quarter at the FDP, right?
Mhm.
Meanwhile, like a candidate like Grace Valmont and Josh Wheel raised what, 19 million or something like that. It's ridiculous. Like
Yep.
they raised more for those campaigns than the FDP probably has in a decade.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
if
and I mean, and we're just about to see it again. Is like is the who's going to be the Democratic Party nominee for governor? Like literally.
oh, I think third time's a charm with the ex-Republican.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
With the crossover,
Third
like, come
time's a charm.
on.
And
But,
We'll see what happens.
why are we doing that?
I have no idea.
Why are we losing good Democrats for mediocre Republicans? Right? We
Exactly.
lost
Mhm.
4 Democrats in the last 5 months. That's either switch parties or left the party. And
Mhm.
those weren't like crazy people. They were Democrats. They're
Mhm.
Democrats, middle of the road Democrats. One of them was one of the biggest funder to the Democratic Party. And what did we get in exchange for that? A mediocre Republican, right? That
Yeah.
comes over to our side. The other thing I don't understand either is we call those Democrats as Democrats we call those Democrats that left, we call them traitors. We call them, they're the worst thing. They have no morals. They have no this, they have that. They're betrayers to the party. But yet we accept people from the other side that did the same thing to their party and showed
Mhm.
no
Yep.
loyalty and showed no respect. Like, I don't get why the double standard there, right? And
Yeah.
we're not gonna win with a past Republican. We're
No.
not. And now the vote's gonna be split between, I'm going to say his name, Pizzo. He's going to take half of
Mhm.
the Democratic vote, and he's
Yeah.
going to.
Mhm.
And day one, Pizzo has $55 million,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And we get
It's
MSNBC Republicans. You know,
Exactly.
yeah. It's ridiculous, and I do want to make this point because it's important to note that anybody can change and grow in their beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. So, David Jolly is considering running for governor right now, and he's the former Republican that we're talking about. I want to recognize that he is allowed to change his beliefs, and I'm grateful that he did. And his policies are leaning more towards the Democratic side. However, we need to make sure that we're keeping our Democrats, like you said. And the problem is I've talked to a few of them, and the reason they left the party leadership is because they felt like they weren't being heard. They
100%.
were not being heard by the party, by the leaders of the party. So they left. They said, I'm going to try it over on this other side and see if I get heard. I know they
100%.
don't have the same beliefs as me, but I want to get heard.
100%.
So,
And those same leaders, I have been in the room where those people, some of the people that have left, I've been in the room as the FDP disrespected them. I've
mhm,
been there. I've seen it with my eyes. And then they
absolutely.
go and say, "Oh, we didn't do that. We didn't do nothing." Oh, okay. Well, I'm telling you, you did, and I saw it. And yeah, and they did left because they left because they were disrespected, because people didn't realize their value. You know that
Mhm.
in the Democratic Caucus of Florida, which there's, I believe, 33 members of it now, or 32 members of it now, somewhere around there. Only two of those people are Latinos. We have Jose
Exclusive.
Alvarez and Joanna Lopez. That's it.
Oh, that
That's it.
makes sense.
Right? We lost Susan Valdez, and we're gonna lose more. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we stick with the status quo, which they also have to realize that the status quo is over, and we're asking for a revolution to something different. And
Mhm.
if they don't, then we're just gonna keep on losing, and it's gonna get even worse. The majority is gonna get worse. We're gonna lose more seats. We can't let that happen. We have to unite. Okay, yeah, we do. We do have
Yeah.
to fight together as a united, but we have to fight united under a united message. That best message is probably the economy right now.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
that best message is people's healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare, all that, right? To make sure people with disabilities, seniors, that they're taken care of,
Children.
because we're children, kids in school that are disabled, so they can get the therapist they need, all that stuff. That's our message, right? And we need to start respecting the minorities and marginalized communities that are in those offices that are under the Democratic flag, because we're hemorrhaging Democrats
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
Florida, and everything's
Nation.
burning behind us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And nobody wants to say, maybe I should, change my tune a little. You know,
Mhm.
it's
Right.
wild to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Our leadership has to be called out, and we have to be the ones to do it. And we will continue to do it until they start to act right. So, um, we've been talking for almost an hour now, so I kind of want to pivot, and we have our next segment called Shout Out or Shut Down. So this is where we shout out something positive that's happened the past week, or we shut down something negative that's happened in the past week. For example, I am going to shout out President Biden for all of his amazing accomplishments, and for his years and decades of service to the country and to the Democratic Party, and being an advocate for us. That was really important. And it's sad to see that he is unfortunately struggling with a cancer diagnosis, prostate cancer. So I want to shout him out, and I want to give him all of all of my best wishes with that.
Yeah.
So
Amazing. I actually have a shout out this week. I'm not going to be petty. So, Luis, do you have a shout out or a shutdown? Do you know, should we sandwich it? I
Uh,
don't want to leave it. You know what I mean? I don't want to leave
yeah,
you hanging.
I have a shout out. I want to give a
Okay,
big
we're
thank
all
you.
positive this week.
Yeah, I have a shout
Perfect.
out. I have a
All
shout
right.
out.
Okay, you go ahead. You go ahead too then.
Oh yeah, so I want to give a real big shout out to my panelists today, Tamika Lyles, Sabrina Busbar, Logan Mueller, and Mike Drapak. We had a really awesome discussion about our party, and we did it civilly, and we did it with in a safe space where we could come as friends and leave as friends, is that what I like to call it out. And I want to thank them because like it takes guts to sit up there in front of people and say your thoughts. And I really want to give them a shout out because they did an excellent job, and people were really amazed at how, Sabrina Busbar was very articulate. She comes from an immigrant background. Logan Mueller's a young guy, super smart. He's going to be a great leader one day. Mike Drapak has some great ideas as well. He's very boisterous, and I love it when people are boisterous. You know what I mean? And Tamika Lyles, who I got to meet tonight. If you don't know who she is, please go check her out. Tamika Lyles has a future. She spoke some truth tonight. She spoke about authenticity, and I think it's someone that we can get behind and find out who she is and make sure that we be Ashley Moody in that race.
Absolutely. Love that. Okay, so I'll wrap it up with our last shout out. I'm going to shout out Stonewall Dems, and our Pride and Progress dinner, which is coming up on June 8th. June 8th. It's a Sunday. It's going to be at Banquet Masters. We have so many fun. We've got two fun speakers right now. We've got one of which is going to be Anna Escamani, who is a very cool Anna from Florida. If you follow her on Instagram, she is just a fantastic representative from the state of Florida, and she's going to come talk to us. And then we have a couple of awards we're going to give out. So if you're interested in the Pride and Progress dinner, you can always check out the Stonewall Dems website at stonewallplanellis.org and get your tickets through Act Blue. So yes, that's my shout out for tonight.
Awesome. Can I do one more plug before I go?
Absolutely.
So we are doing June 1st of drag brunch at Corner Club here in Tampa. It's going to be a fun day of drag, bingo, all sorts of fun stuff. 2-for-1 mimosas, a nice meal. Tickets are on sale now. Act Blue as well. You go to our Facebook page or any of our social media pages. It's the Hillsborough County LGBTQ+ Democratic Caucus. You will find the links for that, and I hope to see you all there too. We're going to be at your event. We're actually going to buy a table, so get ready.
Oh, that's so exciting!
Awesome.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you. That means a lot. Really, it does. And I also want to give you props for coming and joining us. Upcoming for St. Pete Pride. We have got St. Pete Pride coming up at the end of June, and we need you to join us. And
awesome.
So thank you for all of it.
Yeah, thank you all. I haven't been able to go over there yet. I'm going to go to your next general membership meeting, but thank you all for joining us. I was Grand Marshal, and it was really special to see all of you behind me. It was a wonderful moment to be on the Jeep and turn around and see all these Democrats with their banners and just happy and cheering and having a good time. And we always are proud to work with you all. We call you all our sister caucus. We actually started the same year. We're both 20. We're hitting our 20-year mark this year. And that all happened because of wonderful people like Sally Phillips, Kathy Castor, all these wonderful people that started up our caucuses. Rick Boylan's another one. Some great human beings, and we need to remember them and say their names because they're the reason we're here.
Absolutely.
Well, Luis, this has been an amazing conversation, and I'm so grateful that you came. We definitely want to have you back. We will get you back on the schedule because your input and everything that we've talked about is amazing. So thank you so much for being here and joining us. Thank you to everyone who listened as well or watched us.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us this week on For St. Pete's Sake. Don't forget to follow and like us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at For St. Pete's Sake. Subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. Leave us a little rate and review if you're feeling saucy. And we'll see you again next week. We'll be back again with stories for people doing the hard work to make our community better. Until next time, for St. Pete's sake, keep pushing for change.